The story of the Stuart begins at the deathbed of Elizabeth I on the 24th of March in 1603. Because of this, King James VI of Scotland became the King of England. The reign of the first Stuart began in peace and celebration, but the mood of unity did not last. The Catholic gunpowder plotters aimed to topple the Protestant regime of King James by blowing up both king and parliament during the state in 1605. James' relations with his parliament were storming in 1621. When he felt parliament had stepped beyond its authority, he closed the session and tore a page from the House of Commons journal. James was a king of peace, but Charles had other ideas. After unsuccessfully attempting to woo the Spanish Princess Maria in 1623, he refashioned himself as a militant Protestant hero. But military disasters in the late 1620s taught him that warfare was more challenging than he imagined. Charles turned his back on Parliament during the decade of personal rule, also known as 11 Years' Tyranny. Charles had already dissolved 3 parliaments by the 3rd year of his reign in 1628. But when Charles needed Parliament in order to raise taxes, in 1640, the Long Parliament became a forum for dissent and radicalism. Soon there was a civil war between the Royalists, also known as Cavaliers, and the Parliamentarians, also known as Roundheads. On the 30th of January in 1649, Charles himself was executed. After the turmoil of wars, the dawn of a republic further stimulated some of the most radical political thinkings in British history. Oliver Cromwell rose as a military leader in the English civil wars and consolidated his position through successful campaigns in Ireland and Scotland. In London, he dismissed the trouble-drawn Parliament and accepted the role of Lord Protector in 1653. Cromwell transformed the Church in favour of Puritans and focused on moral reforms. The title of Protector passed on to his son Richard when Oliver died in 1685. But this was a disaster. Out of the ensuing political chaos, the idea of a restored monarchy gained hold. On his 30th birthday, Charles II arrived in London to huge acclaim. After the Great Fire destroyed much of London in 1666, grand new building projects transformed the capital. Also, the creation of the Royal Society signaled a mood of innovation and improvement. At the heart of New London was the Royal Exchange, where merchants traded goods from the Americas, India, and the Far East. Money was crucial for Charles's effort to build modern Britain, and trade helped to regenerate the economy. But all divisions soon resurfaced. In the Popish plot, Catholics were accused of planning to kill the king. And when Charles's brother and heir James II converted to Catholicism, the Whigs attempted to exclude him from the line of succession. They failed, and James succeeded to the throne in 1685. It didn't take long before the disaffection with James' religious policies turned into open rebellion. The Duke of Monmouth, the previous king's illegitimate son, raised an army to depose King James II. Although this army was eventually defeated and Monmouth executed, distrust of the Catholic king lingered. On the 10th of June, 1688, Queen Mary gave birth to a son, whom James christened into the Catholic faith, which frustrated the English Protestants even more. They felt outraged by the prospect of an entrenched Catholic monarchy, and for that reason they invited the Dutch prince William of Orange to invade. William landed in Devon at the south coast of England in November. After a few clashes, he forced King James II to flee to France. William and his wife Mary, James' eldest daughter, were crowned early in the new year. William, who soon asserted himself as a dominant partner in this joint monarchy, was a military leader. He plunged his new subjects into war in alliance with his native land, most of all against the French. He also faced a threat from the deposed James II, who rallied support among the Catholic Irish. William brutally suppressed this uprising at the Battle of the Boyne. The most significant developments that were made during William's policy were constitutional. The basis for the modern constitutional monarchy were established in the Act of Parliament, that also prevented James II from reclaiming his throne. Queen Anne introduced herself to Parliament in 1702. More than any previous English monarch, Anne relied on her councillors to thread a careful line between the dominant political parties, the Whigs and Tories. Anne launched England into an expensive and punishing war with France. The parties clashed over the war as well as other issues, such as religion and taxation, not only in Parliament, but also in the nation's informal sites of debate, such as the coffee houses and taverns. Besides warfare, Anne managed what her Stuart forebears could not. In 1707, she signed the Act of Union combining the parliaments of England and Scotland, and these separate nations became the United Kingdom of Great Britain today.